It's Wednesday. We're back with another episode of Bothered. I'm going to have a very hard time staying calm during this one because this is a topic comprised of a number of stories, very real life stories. Some of them are old. Some of them are very, very recent about selling and buying things on mostly Facebook Marketplace. I mean, Craigslist isn't a dream anyways, but Facebook Marketplace is a special kind of hell, I have to say. Oh, God. Let's get into it. Hello, it's me, Julie Kim. Welcome to Bothered, my little podcast about being bothered. Every week I share short stories.
Living like this, I might lose it.
They're mostly real situations that have happened to me. You wouldn't believe some of them, or maybe you would. Maybe you can relate.
Living like this, I might lose it.
Do you like my sweater? Well, guess what? It's used. It's a used sweater from Aritzia at some point. I just bought it one day because I was like, I need another sweater and I don't want to spend $100. So instead I spent like $20 and I've got this sweater that has been in the locker, the storage locker, for a couple of years. But then I found it and it's like I have a new sweater again. Anyways, why am I saying this? Because this week's topic has to do with the buying and the selling of mostly used shit. I think we've all done it and we all have our horror stories. Do you have horror stories? Because gosh, I want to hear about them. You can write me at bothered@juliekimcomedy.com. I've got a number of stories, but I'll tell you the one that always comes to mind that makes me really angry. There are actually two, but the second one makes me less angry because it involves a disabled person. I'll tell you later. I just spoiler alerted it. The first one happened a few years ago when we were selling a matching set of side tables. Okay. And this is from, I think, like my university, like grad school years. It's funny. People talk about undergrad as if those are the poor years, but I actually think that grad school years are your poorer years because you're not living at home or some of us are not. And like, you're more of an adult. So you have like less of an excuse or it's worse of a look to be like living off of your parents. So grad school, I found to be the most poverty-ridden years of my life. Anyways, I had this set of nightstand tables. They were not pretty. I had them in sort of like a studio apartment that I had as I was like doing grad school. I got them at Walmart. And the good news about that is that several years later, when I went to sell them because I was about to cohabitate with my new husband, I found that they were still online, which meant that there was an active link. So like when I was selling them, I could take like a couple of pictures of these like black nightstands and then just put in a link that gives the buyer a lot of information about these cheap black side tables, what they're made of and where they're made and the dimensions, like all of it, multiple pictures. So I put them online and a lady tells me that she would like to buy the tables. She said, I'll take them. I will come. I think she said something like a Thursday at 10 a.m. My husband and I go down and she comes by with like a truck because she needs a truck. I remember also that she had told me, I'll let you know when, I just need a truck. And then she kept telling me, I've got to rent a truck. And I was like, you know what? You do what you need to do. I need just a subset of the information that you're sharing with me. I just need to know when you're coming. Okay. And that you're interested. So she finally shows up. She backs up a truck into the area where we have already brought down the tables. And this is a totally different thing. If you live in a building, is it your responsibility to bring the items down or their responsibility to come up? I actually think it's their responsibility to come up. But because this woman had to overly voice her own inconveniences and problems to me, she let me know that, oh, I've got a truck and where do I park it? Am I going to get towed or whatever? And I was like, you know what? We're going to come down. We're going to bring the tables to you. This is all over Facebook Messenger text. I did not actually yell and I did not do the equivalent of yelling on text, which is using all caps. I was a normal person, even though she was not being a normal person. So we meet her. She backs in with her truck. She looks at them. Perfect night tables, except for the fact that they're cheap and they were sold at Walmart, like really perfect condition. She looks at them. She's scrutinizing something. It almost seemed to me like she was looking for something to scrutinize. I mean, I think we've all seen that move that a lot of buyers pull when they get there and they're like, oh, I don't know about this. Like it's happened so many times. They're in my other stories that I'm going to share with you if I have enough time. So she looks at these tables and she goes, oh, they're a little smaller than I thought they would be. Will you take 40? as opposed to $50. And I said, ma'am, no. And I probably said it a little bit friendlier than that, because at that point our transaction was not finished, even though she had already agreed to buy the nightstands. And did you know, according to multiple sources, if you agree online to buying something for a established price, that's actually considered a contract. Is it enforceable? Is it something that people bother to go to small claims court about, or even get ruffled about? That's a totally different thing. She had agreed to buy these tables. And when she got there, after we had, reserved them for her, and after we had brought them down, she decides to leverage her presence and the timing by saying, will you take 40? Which is garbage. I gave her more information than most people give when they're selling a used item. There was nothing else wrong with these cheap ass plywood tables. And so I just said no. And she took them anyways. Okay. It's not my fault that she looked at a picture and thought they would be bigger. Like, who the fuck even does that? And also, like, why would you not look at all the details in the link? I didn't give her this giant diatribe or whatever. And I said no. And then she just took them and then she left. And, a perfectly fairly normal interaction was just turned into something yucky. And now I think that woman's a piece of garbage. Do I remember her name? Do I know where she lives? Do I know anything about her? No. But I look back at that interaction with a lot of disdain. What a piece of shit. Anyways, this is not stuff that doesn't happen to other people. This is certainly not things that have not happened to me before. I mean, my husband and I, when we were selling our baby's bassinet, this is a standard up a baby bassinet, okay? Like everybody in Vancouver, like a number of years, had this bassinet. I still see them out there. It came in a standard color. It was black. It was not faded. And this couple gets here. They're, pregnant, and the guy and the woman, they're both wearing what my husband and I assessed to be like brand new Canada Goose jackets. Okay. They drove from Richmond, BC, which was like a 20-minute drive. And which again is not my problem. They get here, they look at it and they said, oh, I thought it was blue. Well, then fuck you for not reading. It said it was black. You thought it was blue. You know what I did that I actually really, really resent? I'm more bothered by my own behavior than I was by theirs. I was selling a bunch of stuff and I was like, what? No, it's 100. And like, I think I just said, no, it's 100. And they're like, oh, 100? Here's 100. And they left. And then I realized after they left that we had actually listed it for like $125. I had too much on my mind, which is a standard thing. And people who are about to have a baby are actually less stressed than someone who just had a baby. And fuck those people, okay? I actually accidentally gave them a deal. And they came in, they're brand new. Like I think those jackets are like $1,000. I know this because my husband and I also have them. But we would not dare wear them brand new somewhere and try to haggle someone out of like $25. Fuck those people too. One time when I lived in Victoria, BC, fully entrenched in grad school life, I had a shelf. Okay. It was like a cheap shelf, an IKEA shelf. But let me say something about Victoria, BC. I don't know if it's still the case, but at the time there was no IKEA there. So whereas IKEA furniture is abundant in Vancouver and other major cities where there is an IKEA, and used goods are abundant, they are not as abundant in areas that don't have an IKEA. Knowing that, I bought my stuff at IKEA and I had it shipped over to the island. And then when it was time to sell my stuff, because I was moving, it was fairly easy to sell. I post an ad on Marketplace for this shelf. I said, bought for $60 1 year ago, perfect condition, $40, non-negotiable, you must pick it up. First message is from a girl and she says, oh, hey, I was just wondering if I could have the shelf for free and if you could deliver it. I was so angry. I get angry at this kind of shit. That's why I don't do this anymore. My husband deals with all Marketplace and Craigslist shit because he knows I don't have the heart or the temper for it. I will get mad every fucking time. Do I have a predisposition to think that people are trying to fuck me over or rip me off? A little bit. And is it because I'm a bad person? Maybe I'm a bad person, but I think it's also because my parents had a convenience store when we were growing up and I watched people steal and lie and like pocket things. Or like, I remember one time a man said, I'll take a pack of like Demorier extra light, like something Cigarettes. My dad puts it on the counter. The man grabbed it and he goes, thanks, I'll get you next time. And he just walked out of the fucking store. That was one of the most impactful moments of my life. So yeah, I'm not nice to people when they try to fuck me over or might be trying to fuck me over on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I think I've spoken enough for this episode. I have a lot more stories, but God, again, we all have them. Share them with me and I'll share your stories on my podcast too. Oh my God. I mean, you know what? These are not really gigantic problems in the big scheme of things. I mean, there have been people who have met a buyer or a seller for an item from Marketplace or Craigslist, and they have been harassed or assaulted or killed. At least I have not been killed yet. And I don't plan to be because my husband's going to do it and we have insurance. So if he dies, I mean, of course it would be very sad, but then I would be very rich. And I have comfort saying that to everybody because I don't actually plan to kill my husband. Only somebody who plans to kill their husband would shy away from talking about killing their husband. Anyways, we have a lot of insurance. So if that happened, I would never have to buy or sell anything on Marketplace again. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Bothered. I've been telling you for a long time that I've got more and more dates coming up and they are to be announced. Well, guess what? I'm going to announce some of them now. Not a lot, but I am going to New York to perform at West Nyack Levity Live this week. Thursday, December the 4th. Next Thursday, I'll be in Philly for Helium. Looking forward to that. Those are two places I've never been before. I've announced a whole whack of shows and still have more to come. But the ones I've announced so far for 2026 are in Kamloops and Vernon and Calgary and Edmonton and Banff and Whitehorse in the Yukon. Going back to one of my favorite comedy clubs and a lot of people's comedy clubs. Favorites in terms of comedy clubs, Acme Comedy Club in Minneapolis, also Irvine, California, and Lethbridge, Alberta. There will be more. I'm sorry. Thank you for listening to all of that, unless you didn't and you're gone, in which case, why am I even talking to you, you know? But for those of you who stayed and listened, thank you so much. I've got more announcements coming up, as I keep saying, and I'm very excited about Christmas, and stay tuned because we've got some gift-related and Christmas-related Bothered podcasts coming to you in December. Have a great week.
Living like this, I might lose it.